Another recommendation I'd give my client would be to improve her lifestyle, as this was a noticeable area for improvement when evaluating her answers. From the questionnaire, I identified that my client had smoked since the age of 14 and smoked 3 to 4 times a day, which is very unhealthy. However, it was important to realise that there was no problem with drinking, so that was a strength. Smoking this amount, however, will cause many problems for the body, and the client's high heart rate could be a result of this, as it was tested that smokers have a significantly higher resting heart rate than non-smokers. So it is important that every attempt is made to stop this. However, it would be completely unrealistic if I expected the client to just stop this habit, as smoking is highly addictive and extremely hard to stop, especially since she has been doing it for a large part of her life. So instead, I'm going to offer some strategies to help stop / at least limit this. One suggestion I would have would be to attempt to gradually limit the use of cigarettes. For example, this could be achieved by, to begin with, limiting my client to 3 per day for the first 2 weeks, which, although doesn't seem like much of a change, could be very difficult. If this was any more, it could deter the client from attempting to change. It might be just too difficult and too unrealistic. After this 2-week period, this can then be developed to attempting to limit to 2 times a day, with maybe 2 cheat days in which he can have 3. Then this process will hopefully be repeated over 3 months, for example, so that it is limited or even stopped by the end. In addition to this, I'll also ask my client to message me each day, confirming how many she has each day, as not only will this allow me to keep informed to see if it's working, but it will also keep my client motivated, as it gives her more of an incentive to keep to the plan. And another strategy I would suggest is to begin to use nicotine patches, maybe, or nicotine patches one every morning, or gum at points in the day in which she has a craving for cigarettes. This is because these 2 alternatives provide the nicotine that the body is craving, so the withdrawal symptoms are lessened or even completely gone. This should allow my client to limit her use of cigarettes, as she'll feel a lesser need to smoke, and these alternatives are not as bad for the body. My final recommendation would be to improve nutrition, as this was also identified as a weakness when evaluating the answers from the questionnaire. It became clear that the client was likely in a calorie surplus currently, as she stated she eats 2,500 calories per day, whereas the average woman consumes 2,000 per day, which is slightly concerning, as not only is it over the average, but she also stated that she misses lunch often, suggesting that she's likely either snacking a lot or having very unhealthy meals, like the 2 takeaways each week. Therefore, I recommend for my client to eat food with lower calories, for example more fruit, as this is a healthy replacement for snacks, and she had revealed that she only eats 1 a day. I would also recommend that my client limits herself to 1 takeaway per week as opposed to the 2 that she is currently having, as this is also unhealthy with loads of high calories, loads of high in fat foods, so it's important to limit these if you're trying to lose weight. Instead, she should replace things like the takeaway in her diet for things like oats, maybe soup, eggs, and stuff like fish-based dinners, because these are all low-calorie foods instead of high-calorie, high-fat foods that she'd be having in the takeaways. This sort of stuff can then be measured through recording her calorie intake on a MyFitnessPal app that will show she can just input the foods that she's been having each day, and it will show how many calories have been eaten each day, how much fat, how much protein, all of that, how much has been eaten each day, each week, each month. So it keeps her informed to how well she is doing and what she needs to change, and it also can keep me informed to see if she's following the plan or not. In addition, she also mentioned that she has meat once per day. So I'd recommend that red meat is limited to twice per week to begin with, and then maybe even once per week after a month, as red meat can be really bad for heart conditions and fatty foods. So yeah, and the heart conditions, which are more likely with her than many people because her heart rate's already abnormally high, you want to limit the red meat for this reason.